Now, I always forget to mention this whenever these crusty old crones are on screen, but I'll mention it today. Every time I see these 4 of them, I think there are total, but they got those bony ass cheeks, they're always causing a ruckus. All I can think back to is my favorite Disney film, which is, I think it's 1997 is when it came out. It's in that ballpark. Disney's Hercules and the Fates. Every time I see those crusty crones, all I can think is those 3 weirdos sharing an eyeball, testing the fate, cutting the threads of life, and if I'm the only one feeling that way, well then so be it, but I had to show the comparison. It's the same energy if you ask me. But that's just how I'm feeling. Now, episode 23. Now, next episode's titled The Final Episode. I still am sticking by what I've been saying this whole time. I think maybe the Prospero's Soletta storyline could end next week, but I think they got a lot more planned, especially with the fact that I think this technology, this insanity, I don't think it goes away with just Prospero. I mean, especially if you just casually introduce a death laser that almost obliterates everyone as we seemingly sacrifice. I mean, I refuse to believe it, but at the same time, I could totally see them going the route of killing Eri off in that way with this noble sacrifice, and Prospero having to look at the second daughter who she claims to still love, but clearly not as much as she did Eri. I don't know where we go. I really don't, but to end this episode after having arguably the biggest bait death I think I've seen this season, seriously, and probably for the next couple of seasons. When Gwell and his brother are going at it, and they use the backstory is the way you know someone's about to die. You see Gwell being this G hugging and be like, oh, you're my brother, then you're my brother, absolutely, I love you. And he's literally trying to get through to him, not even trying to attack him, he's about to get killed, and then the Bubble Blaster 3000 comes in and stops him from exploding. That messed with my emotions tenfold, and I was ready for the anime community to just ruin this show, cancel this show, saying, no way does Best Boy Gwell go out for this man. I'm thinking, okay, well, you know what? You already then baited us with Prosper getting headshotted. I guess we're just gonna have next week come in and be the true craziness. And then we see Eri just completely noble sacrifice, and hopefully there's a little bits left floating around, because if not, that was messed up. Full live reaction episode 23 is available on my Patreon if you do want to see my full uncut thoughts as I watch this pretty insane episode. God damn, I thought we were going to skip the opening and everything, but consider supporting if you still wish, if you want to see that. Literally 3 minutes start playing before the opening, and man, it was heat. Like, as I said last week, I just think it's such a creative decision to have, like, the background have this kind of, like, glitchy effect all around them, because there's so much happening. And to just see Soletta, man, every time I see a character with like that red glow almost like going over their entire face, and the fact that her VA has this like very frantic kind of puffing and just felt like her heart was going to explode at a moment's notice. I mean, it flexes how talented she is, because not only is she trying to avoid hitting any of the bits in worry of hurting Eri or even a part of her, the fact that she's navigating so well all by herself while also protecting her own life, trying to save Eri's life while having this conversation as all this hell and chaos is around them. And then you have Choo Choo come in. Honestly, that is the worst roller coaster ride I've ever seen in my life. It is a good thing they were strapped in, because they were twisting and turning. One dude almost looked like he was about to throw up in his helmet, but they got through when basically everything gets shut down and you see that little floating area look at the aerial being like, bro, what the hell just happened here? Why is this going on? As then Prosper decides to go clear out the pest. Now, I was actually pretty sure they might kill Prosper this episode, and in hindsight, I shouldn't, but I was like, you know what? I wouldn't be opposed. I thought maybe they were trying to go the direction of, we were gonna get a shot in, Prosper would be bleeding out, see maybe the error in her ways, and then eventually Soletta would come aboard the ship or something, have a heart-to-heart, and that's how they're gonna wrap it up. But I do have to admit, that was one hell of a headshot. Not only did you get the headshot, you properly knocked the helmet off, and then was able to say, alright, are we done playing around? Can we just work together now? Because there's some crazy shit going on. And then you see what the program message was I love you from mom, and yeah, it's a complex family. It absolutely is, 100%. Honestly, I thought the little Eri that we were talking to since the end of last week was going to immediately side with Soletta, maybe because I thought they had a good connection, but the idea that it wasn't someone that she was talking to, but seemingly more so to do with the aerial itself, given how much it's always been there for her, because I think a lot of us were worried that without proper protection, Soletta might get completely just screwed from this data storm. So it was nice that there was that little bit of breathing room when everything seemingly shut down for a moment so she could kind of catch her breath. But honestly, I think that kind of duel between the brothers was probably my favorite point in this episode, just because it's complex, man. Like, you pretty much, he's not thinking rationally. Why is he completely blaming Mireen? Why is he so pissed with his brother? Well, when you casually hear that your brother killed your father and he kept that from you, like, is he keeping because he's ashamed? Is it because he doesn't want to trust in you? You're not thinking rationally, and you're not supposed to look at him thinking like, oh, he has a completely level head on his shoulders. No, he's freaking out, and yeah, in doing so, he almost killed his brother. And if we would have went the route of having Guel accidentally kill his father and not realize it till as it's happening, to then having the brother accidentally kill his brother, that would have been absolutely twisted, and I would have completely understand Gundam going that route, but I have never been more happy to see such a intense, emotional moment where legs are being cut off to just having something coded to stop it from exploding, because there was no way he was getting out of that without something like that happening, and I was like, nah. As soon as the backstory plays, I knew something bad was going to happen, and they baited us. They really, really did. And Prospera, man, as I've been saying since the beginning of this show, without her, G-Witch would not be anywhere close to what it currently is. She is an amazing antagonist, a complex character, lost so much in the prologue, and became such a twisted version of love for her daughters, right? It's very interesting looking at both how Prospera and Eri are kind of like saying, just go back to the school, you know, go have your life. We don't hate you, but you just don't belong here. And it's like, okay, one, we ain't got a school to come back to, and two, you gotta understand that, like, even if you're trying to say that we're not gonna go too crazy with this plan, we're just mom's just trying to make a nice little world for me to live in, nah, this shit's gonna go far beyond just a little pocket in space. Like, this type of technology is frightening as hell, and I mean, I can understand why someone gets blasted by a giant laser beam of death, because that shit does be scary, but it'll be interesting, right? Because they are labeling next week, I think it's called The Witch from Mercury is the title of the episode. They labeled it as the final episode. But as I've always said, it really feels like these first two cores are going to be one story, and this universe still has a lot more left to tell. But obviously, maybe they were just doing things differently. Maybe they did just want to do a two-core show and just show a very interesting mother-daughter storyline. That is a possibility. It absolutely is. Though, I would be very interested to see if they did decide to do some sort of time jump for another two cores in a couple of years or something where different characters could go, because to me, it just feels like Quiet Zero, it doesn't end with Prospera. I just feel like there's gonna be even some more crazy psychopaths that would want to use something like that, and I'm not sure if they would go that direction or not, but I'm excited to see, because I think out of every modern Gundam, TV-wise, and just OVA spin-offs, I just feel like this has some of the most untapped potential, potentially, to really dive into multiple spin-offs, movies, TV series. Not saying that it needs to focus on Soleto and Mireen, just the world and universe itself has a lot to offer, in my opinion. I leave this just saying there is no way they fully destroyed Eri. There's gotta be some alive and left standing there. But if that is how they remove her from the equation so Soletta and Mom can actually finally talk without favorite daughter getting in the way, that's one hell of a way to go about things after you have one of the biggest bait and switch deaths I've seen in a long time. Thoughts, feelings yourself down below. What do you hope to see with the final episode next week? And do let me know. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new around here. Of course, ring that bell so you can get notified when I upload more Gundam on the channel. And as I mentioned, full live reaction episode 23 is available on the Patreon. And hey, while you're there, you can also get a video shoutout like Mantras, Deandra, and Vasuva Granada are getting today. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.